Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. My name is Filip Cerny, and welcome to what is new in Flowmon 12.2 and ADS 12.1 release. Together here with me is Pavel Minarik, who is our VP of Technology. Hello, Pavel.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Filip. Welcome to our session.
Okay, so before we get into the content, let me get over to some housekeeping rules. So if anytime during the webinar you have questions, you should see a question section in your control panel. So feel free to submit your questions throughout the webinar. We'll try to answer as many as we can during the webinar, and we have dedicated a Q&A section of the time at the end of the webinar as well. So that's for the Q&A. This recording will be, this webinar will be recorded, and you will receive a recording after the webinar, so you can watch it whenever you feel like it. So without any delays, let's look what we've prepared for you so far. So the agenda is pretty simple. We will look at what is new in the Flowmon 12.2 release with the combination of slides and the live demonstration. Then we'll proceed to the Flowmon ADS 12.1 version. I see there is a typo in my agenda, apologies. And with that, we will look at live demonstration as well and summarizing it up with the Q&A section. Okay, so let's look at what we've prepared for you. So the first thing that you will see when you update it to the latest release 12.2 is the change into the new progress branding. So here you can see a couple of screenshots, and you will see that in the live demonstration that we've adopted this new light dark blue colors, and it's implemented throughout the user interface in the dashboards and in the reports and all the way in the navigation panel. So that's a small graphical update. The next feature is the introduction of the new table widget for the topology maps. So this will introduce you to alternative visualization for topology maps and provides you basic metrics in context of the topology with the focus on bandwidth utilization use case. Pavel, I believe that you can now show how this will look in the live user interaction, so we can get a glimpse in the real user interface instead of the screenshots.
Sure, Filip. Let me do that. So we have introduced this new alternative way how to visualize topology maps to provide, I would say, better and easy to understand list of your internet uplinks, for example, sorted by the most utilized ones. So as you can see on this dashboard, in my sample network environment, I have this topology where I have an internet uplink and I have 3 different network segments. And so I can either look at the topology map, or I can say, show me the topology map in the form of a table. And so that table represents exactly the same data. And the table is sorted by the most utilized link, which is in this case the internet uplink with more than 10 megabit download, which represents really like 100% utilization. So I see it at the first place, I see it marked red, and I also understand what is my current utilization compared to the capacity. This can be especially handy in reports. So let me just briefly show you how you can actually adjust it in the reports. So let's say that you have now a report where you are using this traditional topology map view. So it's this one. And you would like to change that for the table. And it's as simple as that. There you go. So you can switch between these different views, and it's up to you what you prefer in your reports or on the dashboard, or actually, as you can see, you can have both views at the same time in parallel. So that's the topology widget in a form of table. So let me continue with the deck, and let me move on to next feature, or next, I would say not just a feature, but a comprehensive capability to monitor and understand so-called QUIC protocol. As you are probably aware of, QUIC is a new emerging standard how users can access web-based applications. It runs over UDP, and it's designed specifically to reduce latency associated with establishing the TCP connection, negotiating the TLS encryption. So this protocol is really super fast in establishing the connection, and the encryption is moved to application layer. This actually may cause a challenge in the enterprise environment because you're losing control and losing visibility. With traditional tools in place, you are not able to identify this protocol, and you're not able to understand what resources were accessed by users using this protocol. We were working on this capability for some time already. So when this protocol was standardized for the first time, I believe it was in the autumn of last year, we were already ahead and ready with this functionality. So now in Flowmon 12.2, our probe is actually able to recognize that this is a traffic flow in the network using QUIC, and it's able to label that traffic with nbar application tag. And in addition to that, is also able to extract and decrypt the server name indication when the QUIC session is being established. So you are not losing visibility, and this server name indication is exported as TLS server name and as HTTP host name at the same time. So it's kind of a normalized and consolidated with all the other HTTP host names coming from HTTPS protocol or from pure HTTP protocol, also with TLS server names extracted from TLS handshake from server name indication. So now what you can do, you can analyze all that traffic in, I would say, the very same way with all the workflows you're used to, with all the reports, all the dashboards. It's just standard part of the network traffic or of the network telemetry that we export. So let me go to live demo here as well. So let's select a time frame, and let's ask specifically for the QUIC protocol, and let's do top 10 IPs according to, no, let's not do IPs, let's do directly HTTP host names. So you can see the real content of those HTTP sessions established through QUIC protocol. So as you can see, modern browsers are using this protocol to access Google content or YouTube and so on. Mm-hmm. So that's the essential functionality. But let's think of, or let's ask, how much of QUIC traffic I actually have in the network, how big that problem is. So what if we ask different question? Let's look at traffic on port 80 or port 443. And let's do this not by HTTP host name, but let's do this by the and by replication tag and sorted by number of flows. So this will give us an understanding how much traffic is now actually using QUIC. And as you can see, in terms of flows, so in terms of sessions, if you will, it's 6%. And based on our observation, this protocol has more and more adoption, and the amount of traffic using this protocol is growing. So visibility inside this protocol will be essential, because it's important to understand that in the future, malware or attackers, they may use this protocol to provide some malicious content or push malicious content into the organizations. So what we are doing with the data extracted from QUIC protocol, they are further processed in a standard way in the anomaly detection system. So all the detection methods applying reputation data are leveraging data from QUIC protocol. The detection method to recognize random domains in the data is actually leveraging this information to look for anomalies. So all that QUIC traffic is also being analyzed by the anomaly detection system. Now, if you want to turn it on in your Flowmon system, once you upgrade to Flowmon 12.2, what you need to do is to go to monitoring pods, and you need to enable the QUIC extension, so the QUIC protocol will be analyzed and the data will be exported. So it's simple as that.
Pavel, I think it's important to mention that the QUIC protocol visibility is by default unchecked, right? So you need to.
Yes. Whenever we introduce some new functionality like this, we don't interfere with a specific configuration that you have in your environment. So we don't kind of randomly enable you new features. We want you to have it under control. So it's not enabled when you do the upgrade.
Super, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's move on. So next feature or next capability is about correcting timestamps. We have seen that not all the flow sources are actually providing flow data according to RFCs. And so in case that your flow source does not provide system uptime, you have no way how to understand the relative timestamps. You don't have any absolute value that you can use to understand those timestamps. So we have introduced a capability to fix this by using the flow receive time that is being assigned to a flow record on the collector in the moment when the record is received. And so then using this flow receive time, we can reconstruct the original flow start time. So we will basically calculate the proper timestamps and we will change the timestamps in the flow record. So now you can really analyze the data and you have an accurate flow data with correct timestamps that may, of course, differ by few milliseconds, but it's a completely different story than to have no timestamps or completely inaccurate timestamps in your network traffic. We have seen this, for example, with some MikroTik devices. Next thing I would like to talk about is improved security controls. In Flowmon 12.2, you can find a new session control where you can basically configure timeout of a session with the user interface, as well as timeout for sessions with the REST API. So you can adjust the lifetime of an access token that allows third-party systems to interact with Flowmon using the REST API. Next, I would like to talk about a couple of other improvements across different areas, or a couple of changes, if you will. First thing is cipher suites and security algorithms that Flowmon speaks over the network. So we have tied the security in a way that web-based user interface over HTTPS and the SSH console for admins will speak only FIPS 140-2 compliant encryption algorithms. So you need to make sure that you're using latest browsers or latest SSH clients so you can really connect to Flowmon appliance. We have improved the software update process. I remember this being kind of a feature request or ask for improvement from the user base. Now the software update process is more explicit, more detailed, and it informs you about the progress during the installation process. So when you face any issues, you can see in which moment it got stuck, and you can more easily communicate with support about it. Also, to prevent unintentional restarts or shutdowns of the Flowmon appliance, we have introduced something as like a maintenance mode where during upgrade, Flowmon will prevent you to do unintentional reboot or shutdown because it's just this action is just blocked by Flowmon because it would have consequences on the upgrade process. Next thing I would like to talk about is some principal changes in the functionality. So as you probably know, we have introduced a couple versions back notification that we will be replacing reports in the Flowmon monitoring center by new reporting that is central to Flowmon appliance and to all modules, and it's done through dashboards and reports. So this happened in this release, and so in 12.2 you will no longer find reports in the monitoring center. The only thing that remained in the monitoring center is configuration of report chapters, but the reporting as such is done in the module called dashboards and reports. We have also evaluated the use of different localizations of the user interface, and we have decided that starting Flowmon version 13, we are no longer going to support Spanish, French, and German localization of the user interface, as these are like almost not being used. Last slide for Flowmon 12.2, and we will move to ADS, is about distributed architecture. We did several improvements in distributed architecture, especially around how logs are being collected from individual units in the distributed architecture in an asynchronous manner, how you can select specifically from which units you want to get the logs. We also improved error handling and error propagation from individual units to master unit. And we have also improved the installation status where you initiate upgrade from the master unit. It goes way down to all the units in the DA, and you can see on the master unit what is the status of the overall installation process. So these are some improvements that I wanted to mention with respect to distributed architecture. And I'm handing back to Filip now. Filip, you're muted.
Apologies. Thank you, Pavel. Okay, so I switched the screen, and now we will proceed to the really new features and capabilities in the Flowmon anomaly detection systems 12.1. So the first feature or new news that we are introducing is the new detection method, and it is detection DNS over HTTPS traffic. So we know that DNS over HTTPS may pose a substantial risk, and threat actors can use this to hide malicious activity and communications from monitoring tools. So it represents a substantial risk for enterprise-grade securities. That is why we've introduced these new detection methods, and it works on a combination of a list of known DNS servers provided by Flowmon and a machine learning based algorithm to improve accuracy of the detection. So thanks to that detection, whenever event is created, you will get it in the standard format as you are used to for Flowmon anomaly detection systems. So you can see the type of the anomaly that it is detected as a communication with the DNS over HTTP. You can see the description. You can see a detail that a device that uses DNS over HTTPS protocol was detected and information related to it, how it corresponds to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. You can get all the important start timestamps like detection time, last update, first flows. You can see who was the source, and even below you can get the IP address and the DNS server name, domain name. So that's one new feature. And as part of the continuous improvement of all the existing methods, we have also updated these listed existing detection methods like RDP dictionary, TeamViewer, DNS anomaly, random domain, and blacklist IP blacklist detection methods. So now you have better accuracy and new new configuration options and transparency. The next feature is customizable columns in analysis of IP view. And I believe, Pavel, you can now show us this in a live demonstration, how this works.
Yes, sure. Let me do that. So we were in ADS, in addition to the detection methods and improvements that were presented by Filip, we were focusing on workflows. We did a customer survey to understand what kind of limitations they see in working with events now in ADS. And one of the limitations was we want more customization of what we can see on the screen. So we have extended this to provide method instance, commands, or categories, because some users are actually using categories or commands to manage their detections in the anomaly detection system. So this way you can enable those columns to see it like immediately, and you don't need to drill down into a specific event to get this insight. And this is across the whole user interface. So in the analysis, you can do pretty much the same. You can, when you open the category, you can customize columns and you can add commands or method instance information here right away. So you understand, for example, which instance of a detection method actually detected this specific event. So that's about customizable columns, but there is one additional workflow improvement which is pretty significant. I'll show that in the live demo as well. Just let's take it through the slide first. So previously you were able to get a filter for the query in the monitoring center from event details, from event evidence. We have added a complete workflow. So there is a new link in event evidence that will take you into monitoring center. It will select the specific profile and channels. It will set the time interval, and it will fill in the filter based on what event has been detected and what are the event parameters. So let me demonstrate that. And I can demonstrate that on an event detected by the DNS over HTTPS detection as the new detection method that was presented by Filip. So in this specific case, when I want to dig deeper into the data, when I want to analyze the data, I can say open in monitoring center and add to filter. And what ADS will do, it will open the monitoring center, it will select the all sources profile, it will set the time interval specifically to when the event was detected. It will fill in the filter. So now I can either adjust or I can immediately run the query to see the flows that correspond to the filter and the time interval. So this is the way how we streamlined the more detailed analysis from the anomaly detection system to the monitoring center. Let me go back to the slide deck. So we're getting to summary and to Q&A session. So here you can see in a nutshell all the new features and capabilities that were presented in the webinar. You can find more detailed blog post, of course, on our website where the features are explained in detail, and the full list of all changes in the release are, of course, part of the release notes.
Super. Thank you, Pavel, for the nice demonstration. There is a couple of questions, so if it's okay with you, I will read through them and we can answer. So the first questions we have is when we will see other types of actions in Flowmon Monitoring Center, like Microsoft Teams, IFTT, etc.
We are experimenting now with things like MS Teams or webhooks in general. So we would like to extend the actions we can trigger to webhooks, which will allow us to post notifications into Teams, into Slack, or post even events to Splunk, not using the syslog protocol, but using the webhooks, which is kind of a modern method how to do so. So we have it in mind. We are running some experiments with that, and we need to decide afterwards when this will come to the roadmap.
Super, thank you. Maybe before I'll continue with the Q&A, for those who have joined us during the webinar, you have a panel questions in the panel where you can submit your questions and we will get to them. So the next questions we have is there any plan to increase the ADS scripts integration with other brands and technologies for network detection and response?
Oh, we have kind of opened that technology to all our partners and customers. So if you have a specific needs to integrate with a specific third-party product, you can always implement the script that will trigger the API. There are examples for Fortinet, for Checkpoint that were created by us and that are maintained by us. But to be honest, we don't have ambition to cover all the vendors on the market, all the different brands, all the different versions. That's kind of impossible. So we want to go with this open environment where you can basically, if you have some specific needs, you can script it.
Okay, thank you, Pavel. The next question is is the QUIC protocol integrated in ADS 12.1?
Yes, it is by default. If it's in the monitoring center, if it's being processed, if it's part of the data that we store, then all the subsequent processing is automatic because all the data go to ADS, the detection methods are applied on it. So yes, QUIC is part of ADS processing as well.
Okay, super. And we've got last question, and that is about the future plans about with the integration with WhatsApp Gold and vice versa.
Well, I think at this point there is already quite powerful integration between WhatsApp Gold and Flowmon that is out of the box. All you have to do is to provide WhatsApp Gold credentials, and you can immediately access events in ADS. You can access dashboard, you can access widgets, and you can actually visualize this information in the context of WhatsApp Gold, and you can even combine data coming from Flowmon with data collected natively by WhatsApp Gold on a single dashboard. And we would love to see more customer adoption of this and more feedback really in using this functionality and what shall be improved, because from our perspective, everything is out there and it's out of the box.
Super. Thank you, Pavel. So I guess that's all with all the questions. So unless there aren't any other questions, I think we can close this webinar. So thank you very much for your attention. You will receive a link to the webinar in the follow-up email. And if there are any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Pavel. Thank you, everybody. Bye.